This is about a 54-year-old man named Eric Logan. His full name is Eric Jack Logan. And he is from the South Bend, Indiana, the city of South Bend, Indiana. Now, that city might remind you guys of Mayor Pete Buttigieg, because Mayor Pete Buttigieg is the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. And he apparently bungled the employment of an officer who killed Eric Jack Logan, supposedly for having a knife or a gun on him. And this cop killed this 54-year-old man, and Pete Buttigieg is receiving a lot of heat for this, and deservedly so. And I just wanted to detail for you guys, what's going on regarding this case and what Pete Buttigieg is apparently doing to save his ass, because especially since he's running for president in 2020, and he doesn't want this to be tied to him, because especially with issues regarding police shootings of black men, black women, mistreatment of black men, black women, and stuff, all that terrible stuff. So let's check out the articles here. It says Pete Buttigieg goes home to South Bend after man killed by police. And this is an article from apnews.com. It says South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg pulled himself off the presidential campaign trail Monday after the fatal shooting of a black man by a white police officer in his hometown forced him to confront issues of race and policing. The Democrat canceled several days of campaign events after returning to South Bend, where he spent the day meeting with community members and faith leaders following the shooting of 54-year-old Eric Jack Logan early Sunday. Sergeant Ryan O'Neill had been responding to a call about a suspicious person going through vehicles when he spotted Logan leaning inside a car, St. Joseph County Prosecutor Ken Cotter said. When confronted, Logan approached the officer with a 6 to 8 inch knife raised over his head, Cotter said. That's when O'Neill fired twice, with the other shot hitting a car door, Cotter said. The shooting presents both political peril for a candidate who struggles to connect with minority voters and an opportunity to show leadership on issues of race and policing that are critical and personal. For much of the Democratic primary electorate, and personal for much of the Democratic primary electorate. Buttigieg has transformed from a relatively obscure 37-year-old mayor to a top-tier candidate in a crowded Democratic presidential field. His handling of the shooting could also test his ability to navigate the demands of the campaign trail while still performing his day job. Quote, I did consider it important to be here to have these conversations, Buttigieg said in South Bend on Sunday after cutting short a campaign trip. I know that whenever an incident like this happens, there is tremendous hurt that can come about, that the city will be hurting. Asked by a reporter how the shooting might affect his presidential bid, Buttigieg declined to answer, saying, right now I'm here as mayor. The white mayor has had a sometimes tense relationship with the black community, dating back to his first term in office when he fired the city's first black police chief. He has also faced criticism for his handling of police misconduct cases, including a case involving an officer who was twice disciplined for civil rights violations but not fired, and for not having a police department that reflects South Bend's diversity. Roughly 40% of the city's residents are black or Hispanic. The department is almost 90% white. Wow, that's crazy. It says Buttigieg said Sunday that he was sometimes hesitant to speak publicly after shootings involving police earlier in his time as mayor, and that he heard from the black community that he needed to be more open and transparent. One of the reasons we're communicating up front right now is because of lessons learned from members of the community, he said. So I don't understand. So all of a sudden a shooting had to happen for him to realize that he needs to speak up about racial issues, let alone among the police community. I mean, come on. That's how tone deaf this guy is. He's a white dude in a largely, very diverse city in Indiana, and it took him, isn't he in his second term right now? Let me check real quick. I think he's in his second term. Because if it took him that long to figure out that he needs to finally connect with voters in his town, that's pretty sad. Let's see here. It says, he assumed office in 2012. Yeah, so he's in his second term. This is so 2020, January 2020, that's going to be the end of his second term. So it's going to be the end of his overall term. So that's going to be the end of his time as mayor. So yeah, it took you that long to realize that you need to deal with this shit. It's crazy. So it says Logan's wife, who's the Shaphonia Logan, who's the wife of Eric Jack Logan, who was shot. She says Logan's wife, Shaphonia Logan, told reporters after meeting with the police chief Sunday that she had many questions about what happened to her husband of 13 years. She said her husband called her early Sunday asking her to pick him up as he was out with friends, but she was in bed and he replied that he would walk to his mother's house a few minutes away. I don't know what happened or what they say. He was breaking into a car, she said. Was that justified for him to shoot and kill him after about breaking in a car? Shaphonia Logan said that she never knew her husband to carry a knife or a gun and that he was afraid of police officers. Wow. She also questioned why her husband was taken to a hospital in a police car rather than an ambulance. Oh, that's a good question. She said her husband had 5 children from other relationships. Logan was released from prison in 2018 after serving a sentence for a 2009 St. Joseph County conviction on 3 felony counts of dealing cocaine or narcotics, according to an Indiana Department of Corrections records. He had other convictions since 1988 on drug possession and handgun violation charges. It says Cotter said no police video exists of the confrontation. How convenient. As the officer's dash and body cameras weren't automatically activated because he was driving slowly without his emergency lights on while looking through a parking lot. What does that have to do? It should be on regardless. That doesn't make any sense. Debree McKesson, who began protesting the police killings of black men in 2014 in Ferguson, Missouri, which is after the Michael Brown case, famous Michael Brown case, and has advocated for reforms addressing policing and communities of color, also said there are many questions left to be answered. He said that Buttigieg made the right choice to leave the campaign trail. Obviously, he's got to do more than that, though. He says, we will all be watching to see how Buttigieg deals with this latest case of a police officer killing a citizen, McKesson said. He is still the mayor of South Bend. In leaving the campaign trail to be the leader he was elected to be, we will get perhaps the best glimpse into how he makes decisions under public pressure. Buttigieg initially canceled Monday campaign events in New York, then later canceled a Tuesday trip to California, where he had a series of fundraisers scheduled, including one at the home of director and producer Ryan Murphy and his husband. The candidate has proved to be a fundraising juggernaut, raising more than $7 million in April alone, according to a person close to the campaign who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss financial details. I don't know what to say. This guy, Pete Buttigieg, is not a guy that needs to be considered for president. He is horrible. He's like an awful choice. This guy is like, he's the second rendition of Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke, obviously many know, is the congressman from Texas. Then he ran for Senate against Ted Cruz, lost, and then he initially decided not to run for president, and then he declared. And Pete Buttigieg is the same. He's the same kind of thing. He's a white guy, young. He claims to be, puts out all this like kind of stupid cliche type rhetoric, nothing really all that interesting. It just sounds nice because he's saying it with a nice tone. And the guy is just not, He's not a good candidate. He's somebody that nobody should be trusting, especially since we don't even know anything about the guy. He's been mayor for, a small town. By the way, the town only consists of 100,000 people. And somehow he thinks that because he's mayor of a small town in Indiana, in the state of Indiana, all of a sudden he can become president, and he can handle a population of 330 million. So, okay, I mean, I guess you can call the guy ambitious at best, but obviously his decision making when it comes to dealing with his own, with the police in his own city of South Bend, obviously he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, because not only did he not, first of all, he got rid of the first black police chief, which is already a red flag, because those are the people that are going to be connecting with the black community, and with this, obviously, 40%, black community or Hispanic community, people of color community. So you got rid of that guy. That's a fucking asshole move already. And then he also faced criticism for handling police misconduct cases, and one of them included a case involving an officer who was twice disciplined for civil rights violations. You didn't fire that guy for some reason. And yeah, I mean, so how the hell are you going to handle the overall country's police that are, killing unarmed black men and women? So obviously you don't know what you're doing, bro. You're not competent to, you're not competent to run a fucking Arby's or a Subway, let alone your own town, let alone an entire country. I mean, you're flubbing all of these duties that you had within, 100,000 population city, and I mean, and then now he's like coming off the campaign trail and he's being celebrated for it. Yeah, the guy is incompetent, and people that are like fawning over him. Oh, he's a gay man. He's young and he speaks in Norwegian or some shit. Like, these are the things that people are fawning over Pete Buttigieg for. But are you talking about how he can't handle police misconduct cases in his own city? How he doesn't fire police when they are doing fucked up shit and mistreating black people in his own city. He's firing black police chiefs who and then hiring 90% white police officers in his city. That's crazy, bro. You don't honestly, this should disqualify him right now. I mean, right away, this should disqualify him. He's already doing badly among people of color. So I don't know how you're going to win people of color in the primary. I mean, obviously you'll win it if you're, any candidate, I'm sure will win the black vote against Donald Trump. But if you're good luck trying to win it within the primary right now. I mean, especially with how many black candidates are there? There's Cory Booker, Kamala Harris. I think there's one other person that's black that's in this race, and then there's Julian Castro and all that stuff. So I mean, you have a bunch of diverse people in this crowded group of presidential candidates, and somehow you completely fuck up this opportunity to do what you have to do for the people of your community, and you completely ruined it, and you completely bungled it. It's amazing. I mean, this guy should not be. This guy does not need to be considered for president. I mean, he's going to be there, but if at best he needs to be, at least he needs to be asked these questions regarding his handling of this situation, and he needs to be pressed on it, in any of the debates that are coming up, because this is horrible. He seems completely unprepared to be the mayor, to be mayor, let alone become a candidate, because regardless of whether he leaves the campaign trail to go and address this situation, it doesn't matter. That's something that somebody should be doing regardless. He should not be receiving high praise for that at all. That doesn't mean anything. So people that are praising him for that, it's ridiculous. And hopefully he has to respond to this. Hopefully he responds for this. He's already receiving a lot of backlash from Black Lives Matter protesters and just black people protesting in general. And people are telling him how you're not doing anything for us. Then he's saying, oh, well, I'm not looking for your vote. I'm not asking you to vote for me. And he says, yeah, I definitely won't. There was a video like that. There was a video of that posted on Twitter I saw a couple days ago. And yeah, well, if you're not looking for their vote, you didn't help yourself getting it. It's very convenient that there was no dash cam footage or body cam footage too. So, I mean, hopefully they're going to find something